How's it going, YouTube? Barbara bringing you guys another rulings video, but unlike our previous rulings video, where we would go over a lot of different rulings and a lot of maybe a few effect resolution things, this video we're going to go over an updated ruling. This isn't something that we've had a whole lot in the Digimon TCG. Mainly it was when they had the big updated rulings to version 2.0 about a year or so ago. I can't exactly remember. That was before I really started delving into judging and the rulings of the game. But we had a general inquiry about an effect resolution that seemed a little different. It wasn't exactly what we had known up until now. And then after another inquiry to the Bandai and Cardass team, and then getting a confirmation about how it was ruled previously, we did get confirmation that, in fact, the ruling had been updated 7 months ago. It happened at the end of 2021. So while it is very late to the party on informing us, because there was no formal announcement or anything like that, we do have confirmation that the ruling has been updated. So what I'm going to do in this video is go over the updated ruling and how it affects how certain resolution works now that they've changed this trigger window, which of course all of this I will explain in a little bit. But before we do that, I do want to say thank you guys for the continued support on the channel. If you guys enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like on the video. If you are new to the channel and you see all these ruling videos, we're going to have more of them. We have a ton in the past. If you guys want to go look at the backlog, I don't think anything in those has changed, so they are all good to go. And then if you have any questions, you can always leave comments down below about some rulings or interactions, and I'll be sure to answer them to the best of my ability and or put them in a future video. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and go into our updated ruling. Alright everyone, so into our updated ruling that I wanted to go over. This is going to involve all of these cards as you see on screen, but I'm going to go over what exactly changed and then show you a demonstration of the old way and the new way and why it matters to you. So in this old method, the old ruling, there was something of a trigger window that would happen after you use an option, but before the option actually activates. So what I mean is, like, you would use this option, any effects that say use an option trigger, and then you would activate the option, and then any effects that would happen after the resolution of the option because of what the option did would then trigger afterwards. What they have done is they have removed that trigger window, and it kind of affects how some effects would actually activate after they've been triggered. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means now, and we're going to use some pertinent cards in the Sucredium line because these are a very important set of cards for the deck, and they all based off of when you use an option. We're going to keep it a little bit simpler here with only one pending effect, but as you know from a lot of the other cards, they can get a little wonky because there's a lot of them that say when you use, like almost every card in the line. But what we have here is this is going to be our hand, this is going to be our deck. I'm going to flip it over here in a second, and this is going to be our field. So we're going to start off with our field. We're going to have a Cody on field. This effect literally doesn't matter. All that matters is it's a tamer so that we can legally activate our plugin. We have a vanilla stack just for ease of the example with a Viximon underneath. Now the Viximon states your turn, once per turn, when you use an option card of cost 2 or greater, you may draw a card. The cards that we have in our hand are going to be EX02 Talmon. That states when Digivolving, you may play a Rika from your hand without paying its memory cost. And then the other card that we have in our hand is Digivolution Plugin S. We're not worried about the inherited effect or the security effect, just like we're not worried about Talmon's inherited. We're more so worried about the main effect. Of course, you can use this without meeting its color requirements if you have a tamer. We have Cody. But its main effect is draw 1, and then you may Digivolve one of the Digimon on the field into a Digimon with a play cost, or the Digivolution cost of 3 or less without paying its memory cost. So, and then our deck will also have this. These two cards don't matter because this is going to be flipped over. What matters is that Rika is the third card from the top. That is specifically what matters for this scenario. So, have our deck face down here. This is our board state. We're going to go ahead and use Digivolution Plugin S. Remember, this is for the old ruling. This is just for education purposes to show you the difference and why it matters that the old ruling has been updated to the new ruling. So, old ruling, we'll go ahead, activate, or use Digivolution Plugin S. We have now used an option card of play cost 2 or greater. This triggers Viximon. So it is triggered, but it can't activate because we have to finish activating our Digivolution Plugin S. So now we activate Digivolution Plugin S, use the effect to draw a card, and then we would Digivolve into our Talmon in our hand using the effect of Digivolution Plugin S, drawing for Digivolve on Talmon, trashing this. Now, Talmon is the newest trigger. Remember, Viximon triggered when we used the option. Talmon now triggers after the effect has resolved. So now Talmon, as the newest pending activation, has to activate first. Well, as you know, based on the order of our deck, we did not draw a Nokia, or a Rika, a Nonika. So Talmon's effect will resolve without effect. We will not play anything. And then we'll go back to the Viximon, the last pending activation, and then draw our last card, which a lot of you know now, is Rika. So we knew it was 3 cards deep in our deck, and now we can't do anything. We've already passed up the activation of Talmon, which didn't resolve without effect when we drew it. So some of you may see how this can change if you know a little bit about your rulings, but in case you don't, let's go over the new ruling scenario. So in the new ruling scenario, as I mentioned, they've removed that trigger window. So basically any effects that say when you use an option card will trigger after the resolution of the option card. So effects that happen after based on the option card's effect will trigger at the same time as use an option card. Example A. We'll go ahead and use our Digivolution plugin S. We'll activate its main effect, drawing the top card from our deck, and then Digivolve into Talmon, drawing for Digivolve. And we'll then send this to trash. And so now at this point, Talmon has triggered, but as you may have mentioned, or may have noticed, I didn't stop when I used it to say that Viximon triggered, because now, as I said, the trigger window for these is after the effect of the option resolves. So Viximon is seen to have resolved or triggered at the same time as Talmon has triggered. So in this situation, whereas before we had to activate Viximon second because Talmon was the most recent one, now they are considered to have triggered simultaneously, so we can activate them in any order. So we don't have a Rika in our hand yet. Well, let's see if we can dig a little bit deeper. Since we're turn player, we get to choose the order of activation since they triggered at the same time. We will draw off of Viximon, drawing the Rika. Now we can go back to the pending activation of Talmon, activate its effect, playing down the Rika, and successfully using the ability of Talmon. So now that we've actually been able to dig with the effect of Viximon first, we are able to play the Rika without paying its memory cost, not missing that extra draw that would potentially give us the option to play the Rika. So this is just one of a few scenarios. There's a few effects that involve using an option card that really matter, stuff like BT3 Lady Devimon, Mimi Tachikawa BT3. You also have Lilithmon from BT3 that has an effect that triggers off of use an option. There's probably a few more that I'm missing, but these are some pertinent ones that people realize. Some of the other ones may not necessarily have a lot of things that really mess with certain timings. Some of them do, some of them don't. But I decided that I would choose this one. Shoutouts to Kubia on the Judge server. He is the one that showed me this example, and it was just perfect. It goes over relevant cards to the current meta, and it also is significantly easier to follow than some of the complex interactions that may happen with, say, Mimi, Lady Devimon, Lilithmon, and stuff like Promo Metal Garurumon and stuff like that. So this example is to show you how this new window affects certain effect resolutions, and in my opinion, it is significantly easier to follow. The extra trigger window prior to the activation, or to the fully activation and resolution of an option card was just a little unnecessary and made a few interactions a little bit more complex than they should have been. But now this way is much more streamlined. I feel like it's significantly easier to follow. There's no weird trigger window in between, and thus we have a pretty decent setup and a pretty easier and much more player-friendly way to resolve these. Less judge calls is always better, and that's why I'm putting out this video, so you guys know how this effect resolves. But with all that being said, that is all I have for the updated ruling currently. Alright guys, as I said previously, that's all I really have for you today. There are a few effect resolution things that I want to go over, but I wanted to give this ruling update its own specific video because I feel like it's important. It's a good thing to know. There's not like a million different interactions that could pop up because of this, but with Sakuyamon being out now and a few of these other cards still being present, such as the Lady Devimon and Lilithmon that people are trying to work with, I still feel like it's good to know that this trigger window has changed. I know Bandai has dropped the ball a little bit. Sorry, Bandai, no offense, here on giving this update 7 months later and officially confirming it instead of making an announcement, but at least we did find out now. If there are any more updates that have occurred at the start of the year, we have a few people in the Judge server that are sending inquiries into Bandai just to try to parse out and see if there's any new changes to the rulings. And when I get those, I will send you guys another video out so you know exactly what has changed and how it affects you as the player. But with all that being said, thank you so much for continuing to watch these videos, guys. It means the world to me. I hope these are very helpful for you guys, especially the guys that play the pertinent decks like the ones that I'm going over. If you did enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like on the video. Leave any comments down below about maybe some other situations that you would want to know about. I like to use these as just a way to answer some rolling questions for you guys too. And then, of course, if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are a growing community. I really do appreciate all the support, and I want to get all this content out to you guys so that you can enjoy it and know exactly how you're playing your decks and what you're playing against in the Digimon card game. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.